Alright guys, today we're going to be building a full loader around the Vice Gloves. When it comes to the Vice Gloves, I am going to land it on Field Test It, because I think that's where the best value for money is. And you'll see I've accounted a little bit of overpay just so you can get a nicer float or a nicer wear pattern of Field Test It. So in this case, you'll see I have gone for Field Test at $1,075. That was about $40 buffer on the prices you were seeing. And what that means is they just look a bit cleaner. You're still most likely going to be getting knuckle wear in some way or another. But there are some Field Tests where the wear goes all the way down like the finger rather than just the knuckle. And you'll see the knife I paired it with is a Phase 2. We're going pink gems. And it's a flip knife Doppler Phase 2. Factory new is about $580 for this, meaning the combo cost is $1,658. So, you know what? You're talking under 1,700. It is a pretty S tier combo. The one thing I'll say here is, as always, you could go for a higher quality of knife with a pink gem if you have the budget to, or you could also save some money and go for a lower tier of pink gem. Now, age-wise, I'm going to recommend you go for Blueberry's Buckshot. He runs you about $8.30 at the time of planning. And the main thing for this, the blues pairing well enough for the blues that you get on the Vice Glove, so it looks pretty good. And then on T side, what I'm going to recommend you go for is Sir Bloody Silent Darrell. And the main thing for this is because it's the silver accent of jewelry, plus some nice tattoos. I think the gold would clash too much with the blue and the pink, whereas the silver is just a nice little addition. This means you're spending about $40 in total on your agents. Now, I am going to lean in to Neo Noirs here because colorway-wise, they just look so good. This is $17.25 for minimum wear on the USP Neo Noir. And as I'm saying, you've got the pinks, you've got the blues, and obviously the white is going to pair in with this color palette, and a little bit of purple too. When you're using it idly, you'll see that blue pairs so well with the Vice Gloves. It's kind of an obvious pick. It's for that reason that I also go for the Glock Neo Noir. Now, also minimum wear, this costs you about $20. Exact same reason. The pinks and the blues are such a perfect fit to the Vice Gloves, and it's just, honestly, I don't see the Glock or the USP Neo Noir used too much either, so this is definitely that little bit more unique than the usual go-to. Now, Deagle-wise, I am going for a Midnight Storm. This, in fact, will run you around the $29 mark. Now, if you've not got the rare inspect animation, you can see here, the blues aren't a 100% perfect pairing, but when you look at the Deagle options, this one is definitely the best fit for the vibe you're going for. I would say you can get nice crafts on this. You can also try to go for like a 00 float with a little bit of overpay if you want to have it looking as clean as possible. And it's here that I think the Neon Rider has to be the obvious pick for it. Now, I know that it's a lot of purple, which you don't get on the gloves, but again, those pinks and the blues are like a one-for-one perfect pairing, at least in the world of Counter-Strike that we're going to get. So, factory new for this to keep the AK looking as clean as possible. You can see even there's some little bits of wear that come through in factory new, and it'll cost you about $125. If you were really keen for something different and unique, you can actually go frontside Misty. Not an AK I suggest often, but again, those blues are pretty damn close to what you're getting on the Vice Glove. You might even argue we're better with it, but obviously you're not going to get that pink at all. But it's a different skin, just something a little bit different that you might be able to play around with, and this is $25 minimal wear, so you would save $100. And you could even put that into a craft if you want to do a nice craft on this. Then I think it's a bit of a no-brainer to go for a factory new Nightmare. I almost did Icarus Fell. We'll get to that in a second. $37.50 for this. In fact, I prefer it because, again, much like the Neon Rider, it does start to wear quite badly, and you want this to look as sort of pristine as possible. For me, you either buy this in Factory New or you buy it in Battle Scarred and commit to the wear. And as I almost mentioned, the alternative to this is going to be an Icarus Fell, which is about $460 in Factory New. And while I am a massive fan of the Icarus Fell, I think when you're looking at a $420 difference, I think it just makes sense to go for the Nightmare. Then for the anime enjoyers, the M4A4 Timurq is going to be the obvious pick here. You spend about $40 again on your M4, so like pretty similar pricing on either M4, and if you do mix them up, then it would make sense to do so. The Hyper Beast is one that you also could have considered for a couple of other weapons there, but I think it's best just to get it for the op. Now, you could maybe go Chromatic Aberration if you wanted to save a little bit, but I was looking at the ops, I was like, you know what, this is where I'm going to spend $45 on a minimum wear Hyper Beast. It's an OG skin, it's a classic, you can then put a sticker on the scope and it'll look good, and then you let the artwork do the rest of the talking, and overall it does pair in pretty well with the gloves. On the MP9, you get hit a little bit with a lack of options, but I think overall, the only option being the Mount Fuji is a pretty good one. It's going to be a nice pink, not the exact pink to pair, and the blues aren't going to pair perfectly, but it's CS, we have limited options, that's not always going to be the case, so sometimes just getting it in the same color palette and pairing is all we can do, and it still looks good. It's probably not a surprise that with an AK Neon Rider, I am going to suggest you go for a Mac 10 Neon Rider as well, which is $7.25 in minimal wear. For the P250, you do probably have a couple of options, but for me, it might be personal preference. I think the Vision works really well here. Obviously, it's got bits of pink and blue throughout it, along with many other colors, but when you're just using it like idly here, the back of it's got quite a lot of pink. You can see the blue mixed color accents through it, and one of the things with gloves like this is because they are so bright, sometimes you can get away with other colors as long as they're also quite bright. Now, this new set of jewelries, the Hydro Strikes, got added recently. I say recently, probably a couple months ago now. One of the more newer skins in the game. $2.60 for these, I think, is fantastic. It's one, like I just mentioned, where the colors might not be perfect. Obviously, the blue, the light blue is very strong, but the orange, not so much. But because it's a bright orange, it kind of just fits the vibe. Now, I wasn't too keen that I had to spend like $20, $21 actually for a field test of Fairy Tail, but that is the one option that truly fits this loadout. So, you know, the 5.7 and the Emperor A4, you're really getting on those kind of pinky anime custom artwork vibes. Then over on the Gale, we do have the Sugar Rush, which is $41 in minimal wear. This is actually one of my favorite Gale skins in the game. I think it looks really good, especially with the Vice gloves. I've owned both the gloves and the skin at different points, but never actually together, if I remember correctly. And then for the Famous, I'm gonna go for the Water of Nephthys. Now, I've been inspecting this in like different servers and different condition recently, and I gotta say, I think the lighting makes such a big difference, but also like the condition really seems to impact the pattern and how it comes through. So I've gone Faction New for $73 here to make sure we're really maximizing that look. And now we're into those filler skins where we don't want to commit too much budget unless there's a really niche reason to it. So for the Mag 7, the BI83 Spectrum, it's a mixed color range that does vibe pretty well with the Vice gloves, and it's under $1. Then we're going to get a nice pattern-based skin in the XOXO. Now this is minimal wear, you're talking $3 plus for it. This is the one I bought with for 0 overpay. Now you might not always get them for 0 overpay, but it can be done. And I think this is really nice, how much sort of blue and pink there is at the back. Fits the vibe perfectly for the Vice gloves. I felt the need to go for the Avalanche for the Tech 9. It's just, it is that, again, it's that right kind of blue, and once again also orange accent colors, but at least it's a bright orange, so it kind of fits into what we're going for. The AUG is one where the option isn't stellar. It is going to be Death by Puppy. I think color-wise enough of it pairs in. It's just a shame that it wears so badly, and then it kind of cuts off the artwork, and then you're just stuck with grey. I don't like that with a lot of AUG skins. And that is $6.10. Over in the Famous, it's going to be a Pulse, which you can see does pick up considerable wear. The lowest float you can get this in is 0.10. That's where it's capped at, so you're going to have to live with wear either way. The alternative would be looking at a Rapid Eye movement. And then finally, we ended off with a Scout Fever Dream for $2.20 Faction New. Now, obviously, you could go for the Up Fever Dream, but in my opinion, it wears horribly, and with a bright loadout, I think you want to avoid wearing like that where possible. And this means the total loadout cost here is $2,185, and the combo, as I said, was $1,658. So overall, you're talking, let's say, $2,200 budget loadout here. It actually comes together really well. Like, you're getting a pink gem knife, you're getting one of the most sought after pair of gloves, you're then getting some S tier skins across the board. I'm really happy with how this came out, and I look forward to the 3rd episode of this to see what we can cook. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know if you're enjoying this series, and if there's any gloves in particular that you would like to see next. Outside of that, I want to say a big thank you to the YouTube members for continuing to support the channel. It is greatly appreciated. And just make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.